Hello, welcome back. I wanted to start to get these going a little bit quicker, and if there's no good films in the theaters or I haven't seen anything that kind of like sparks my brain, I can't really do long videos, and I love doing these videos. I love talking about them, so I'm just going to kind of talk about the things I have been watching recently. So today we're going to talk about fall, fashion, and film. I'm not sure if we're going to go in that order. In fact, I think I'm not going to go in that order. We're going to start with film first, so we're just going to move that right there. Thumbs up, Noah. So the first film I want to talk about is Babygirl. I definitely grew up in an era where men were the majority of the filmmakers because there was just like stories men would tell in these that were, about action, about violence, or about jealousy, and the way they would go about it would be...
It's 1 p.m. It's time for lunch. Remember to wash your hands.
Thank you. The thing that they would talk about and how they would handle it were very, now thinking about it now, male oriented, right? So if like a guy wants to have an affair in the office, it's a very different thing than what is happening in Babygirl. Babygirl is one of the films where you're like, wow, I don't know if a dude could write this because of how on the other side it is of power from the perspective of a woman. I think I've seen films like this, but they're not executed nearly in as an outstanding way as Babygirl. And I think a lot of people didn't really enjoy Babygirl as much as I did. I had a fantastic time watching it. The more I see films by women, the more I get a perspective of how they feel about men. And I think a lot of men have fears about this. Many do talk. I think guys have a lot of fear about how women see them, and there's a lot of anxiety about that. But the women making films about men, there is very, very little hate towards men. There is a lot of accountability, but there is a level of sophistication and nuance that guys, by and large, have a hard time understanding, seeing, and when I watch Babygirl, it's exactly what I want from a film about power and kind of flipping it. One of my favorite things about this film is how atmospheric it was, how surreal it felt, how honest and how tense it got, and like really sexy. Super duper sexy. That's why I was like, I can't write something like that. I can't write anything this sexy. I'd never be able to write something this sexy. But thank God people can. I gave this 4 stars on Letterboxd. Right now it has 2.7. That is fucking low. Y'all should bump that up. Second film I want to talk about is Parent Trap. The Parent Trap. One of the best looking films of our generation. Don't believe me? Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it because even just the opening is amazing. And the introducing Lindsay Lohan. Introducing Lindsay. I wish they still made films as dedicated to stuffing it with character like this movie. The camp is stuffed with character. The outfits are stuffed with character. Again, another woman filmmaker talking about power, love, longing. This is a great movie made by a master as they're entering into the height of their power. Nancy Meyers is on fire. Lindsay Lohan should have gotten an Oscar nomination. She had to play a kid from California and a British kid and play both of those roles convincingly. I mean, to put that much on a young kid, have a California accent, have a British accent, and she had to play one entire movie with Dennis Quaid and another entire movie with Natasha Richardson, and then a third movie with Elaine Hendricks. I mean, she killed it. I honestly cry every time I watch it. 5 stars. 5 stars for Parent Trap. I love her in almost everything she's done. We watched Freakier Friday, and I have to say, it works again. The whole Freakier Friday part, it takes a while to kind of figure out who's who. Whenever she's on screen, whenever Jamie Lee Curtis is on screen, they are magic. And I think they should just do what like The Rock and Kevin Hart did a few years ago, which was just be in a bunch of movies together and different roles, and just like kind of, okay, you're cops here, okay, you're mailman here, okay, you're detectives here, just like make movies figure out situations to be in, and play together. I would go see those movies if it was Lindsay Lohan and somebody, Jamie Lee Curtis, Meryl Streep, or Emma Thompson. Just fun romps, fun capers. Speaking of duos, another film I want to talk about. My in-laws were in town over the summer and I bought a Blu-ray player and I really wanted to watch something, and so they'd never watched Hitch, so we watched Hitch, and my God, Will Smith and Kevin James are so freaking good together. I can't believe they only made one movie. They are so good together. The rest of the movie is very bad. You know, when it's like Eva Mendes and Will Smith, I don't really buy the chemistry, and Will Smith is super cringe in that. That part is where I'm like, okay, you could tell a man wrote this about love. But the stuff with Kevin James and Will Smith is so wonderful. It's so hilarious. I can't believe they just didn't run it back with something else. And I think they might have missed that window, because I don't know what Will Smith is up to now. It seems like he's enjoying finding himself on the internet. As am I, as am I. If you haven't, go back and just rewatch Hitch. What did I give Hitch on? That is sitting at a 3.1 on Letterboxd. I haven't. What should I give it? Let's give it a 3.5. Live 3.5 given here on Letterboxd. Last but not least, my wife was out of town for one night, and that was enough for me to watch the first 5 Fast and the Furiouses. That's why it's hard. It's a hard time whenever she leaves, because I just devolve into an idiot. If I can recommend one of those 5, it would be number 3, Tokyo Drift, because it has nothing to do with how big it eventually gets. It's about a American teenager who wrecks a car racing in, I don't know, Arizona. It's a great scene that kind of actually foreshadows the housing crisis of 2008, where they're just like racing in an abandoned housing development. But he crashes his car. He gets sent to Tokyo. If you were to tell me that as a high schooler, I had to crash a car in a race to get sent to Tokyo, I would have done that afternoon. This is what I've always really wanted, and that's one of the reasons I moved to New York, is that I wanted a place that was so different from where I grew up, almost as different as can be, in terms of people, in terms of culture, in terms of transportation, in terms of opportunity, food, music. There's no place like New York. And that's why this film excites me so much, is because it's such a fish out of water. You're looking at this Alabama man. The character begins to embrace the people, embrace the culture, embrace the language. Nowadays, it's kind of, people are scared about immigration and people coming in and loving the culture, accepting it, wanting to add their own flair to it. But that's what this movie is basically about. A young man being thrown in a new world and falling in love with it. It's just a beautiful film. Oh, I haven't rated that either. What should I do? I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 right now. A live 4. I don't think it's a controversial take to say that this is the best Fast and the Furious. I think that a lot of people understand that they get really silly, and this one is much more grounded. And it isn't about going fast. The cars are dancing, and that dance is something that cinematically is much different than all of the other films. And so that's why I think that not only is the language and the culture and the place different, the races are different. And that's what I've been watching recently. The next thing I want to talk about is, and this isn't a sponsor, okay? This is not a sponsorship. Tubi. Tubi's free. We've been just getting annoyed with the reasonless rate hikes of every streaming service. So my wife and I were just kind of like, hey, we don't really watch some of these. Why don't we just see if we miss them? One of my favorite things that I like Tubi over, let's say, Netflix, is that I don't have Netflix films in my face. I mean, you're going to have Casino on there, The Godfather's on there, and you're going to have your commercial breaks. But I don't want to watch Netflix movies made by Netflix. I don't want to do that. I've tried. I don't want to do that. We've been watching a show called The Block. For people that don't know, The Block is an Australian television show where contestants in groups of 2 renovate an entire block of an Australian town or an Australian village or an Australian part. Sometimes it's a whole apartment complex. It is both amazing because it's like Survivor, a home renovation show, a dating show, and just like a look into a different culture. My wife is Australian. She wanted to watch it. I immediately was hooked on it. It's my favorite show straight away. I've rewatched things because it's just so entertaining, but that's on Tubi. We wanted to see what was out there as if it were like normal TV channels. So we did. And that's why I'm telling you, download Tubi, try it out. This is again not an ad. These streamers are taking our money and they're not putting it back into the system. Netflix has taken the theatrical experience, DVDs, and residuals from the entire film industry. And did they put it back in? No, they did not put it back in. They kept it for themselves. They paid bonuses out to themselves. And look what's happening to the film industry. You either have to do a big blockbuster or you have to hope that a industry name does really well. And the indie blockbusters that do really well are the ones that are paired with directors that are a brand. The Safdie brothers, Greta Gerwig, the Daniels, Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, Yorgos Lanthimos, Celine Song. Like all of these filmmakers get an opportunity to make these films because they can be relied on to make some of that money back. And so we've canceled our Netflix subscription and gone to Tubi. It's fall here. It's fall now. I think it's actually starting to get into the winter, but it's not winter yet. It's fall. And this is the time where I actually really enjoy wearing different clothes. Can I just like talk about this? I'm just going to say fashion takes some work. I understand people that want to just like wear one thing and not think about it and that be their expression. That to me, super valid. I am not like that, and I have a hard time even trying to be like that, because then I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna wear one thing, it's got to say everything about me, and so what does that mean? That kind of outfit has to be a lot less, and what I end up wanting to do is a lot more. So for example, this, I'll just get up here. Boom, now we're in business. When you're in New York, and I'm just gonna kind of move us here for a second. When you're in New York, you've got to have like function. Like most of America you have a car and you can go from place to place and have whatever you need in your car. We have to walk everywhere. So our clothes have to be designed to keep us warm, to hold our things. And in case it rains, it snows, you have to have comfortable shoes, or you have to know that if you don't have any of those things, there is a risk that at some point you're gonna get caught out. Cars can be avatars in big car culture places like LA or Houston or Atlanta. Outfits become our expression of what we want to do. I got this little brooch here to sort of pair with like how workwear this kind of feels, just because it's fall, and when fall changes, the leaves change, the weather changes. It's a good time and a good opportunity to use that change to move into a new version of yourself. For me, I really like doing that with fashion, and it doesn't need to be hyper expensive stuff. This I got at Urban Outfitters from the women's department. Remember that. You can go into the women's department and you can try stuff out. Sometimes good is good and it works. For me, I've just really been enjoying pairing a jacket like this or a vest like this with a lot of different looks and just seeing how I can have some fun with it. So a little self-expression is something I would encourage, because there's no real harm in it. There's no real harm in just finding a really good jacket and being like, I'm rocking with this. And then we'll see from there. And I'll be back next week to sort of talk about something new, because I want to sort of keep this going and have it be more of a running thing. Have a good week. I believe in you. You're going to do great. Bye.